Good evening. I'm Iris Martinez, Chair of the DNC Hispanic Caucus and Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County here in the great city of Chicago. Thank you for joining us tonight as we kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. It's a very exciting month for all Latinos. We're going to be celebrating all month long, and furthermore, tonight we are hearing from an incredible powerhouse, Nathalie Reyes, President of the Latino Victory Fund, and we love him so much, our former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julian Castro, as well as the DNC leadership. Democrats believe that diversity and compassion are our nation's greatest strength, and we will continue to fight for Latino families who contribute to our country every day. Democrats are making investments that we will move our country forward, and the DNC is ready and committed to work side by side with our community, the Latino community, on issues that affect us all. Before we hear from Nathalie and Julian, it is my pleasure to introduce an incredible chairman, our DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, to officially kick off. But let me talk to you a little bit about who this incredible man is. As the son of a single teenage mom, Jamie Harrison was raised by his grandparents in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Jamie knows what it is like a family to have to choose between paying the electric bills and putting food on the table, and what it feels like to go to sleep in a home with no heat because of the power was shut off. But thanks to a good public education, the love of his family, and the support of his community, Jamie was able to earn a scholarship to Yale University and attend Georgetown Law. After college, Jamie came back home to Orangeburg to teach at his old high school, then worked to help empower disadvantaged kids to attend college. Jamie also served as an aide to legendary South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn. In 2013, Jamie was elected the first African-American chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party, a position he held until 2017, when he was appointed by DNC Chair Tom Perez as the associate chair of the DNC. In 2020, Jamie ran an incredible race for the U.S. Senate from South Carolina, building a national grassroots movement and settling and fundraising record for the most raised by a Senate candidate. Jamie and his wife, Marie, live in Columbia, South Carolina, where they are raising their two young sons. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a phenomenal chairman, Jamie Harrison.
Well, thank you so much, Iris, for that introduction, and thank you for your leadership. We would not be where we are without you and your stewardship, and we really thank you for all that you do each and every day, Iris. And thank you all for being here. I'm so happy to be with all as we kick off, as the DNC kicks off Hispanic Heritage Month. Folks, Latino communities are a powerful group in our country and in our democracy. You all have made important contributions to our society and have shaped our nation's history in profound ways. The last presidential election was no exception. Latino folks voted in record numbers in 2020, and you all turned out for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris by huge margins all across the country. In battleground states like Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the margins were even bigger. Y'all knew the stakes were high, and you put your faith in President Biden and the Democrats, and you delivered. And we can't thank you enough. In the past 8 months, Democrats have tried to deliver for Latino communities. Folks, the historic American Rescue Plan will reduce poverty in Latino communities by almost 40%. And that's just a start. The rest of the president's Build Back Better agenda is just as bold, and it's going to focus on some of the issues that matter most to your families. With President Biden's leadership, the Democrats are going to make the expanded child tax credit permanent so that working families can continue to get a monthly tax cut. We're going to lower prescription drug costs so that folks don't have to choose between groceries and necessary medications. We're going to make two-year community college free so that higher education is accessible to everyone. My friends, none of this would be possible without each and every one of you. Because you voted for Democrats, Democrats have delivered for your communities. And as we look to 2022, we're working right now to persuade and organize Latino voters so that we can keep up the good work. We aren't going to take anything for granted when it comes to your community. We know that there's still lots of folks out there that we have to reach with our message. Our campaign readiness project that we just launched is recruiting and training diverse talent across the country to make sure that we do just that. With this program, we're going to empower folks on the ground who know best how to organize their communities. And that's important, that we get people from the communities to be organizers in the communities. And we're reaching out to all groups that make up the Latino community. Because a Mexican American in El Paso and a Dominican American in the Bronx have different experiences and priorities than Cuban Americans in South Florida. My friends, with the leadership of the people you're going to hear from today, the DNC is going to make sure that the Latino folks feel valued by the Democratic Party. We're going to work hard to earn your trust, your respect, and also your votes. And we're going to uplift Latino voices because that's so important. And we're going to work even harder to deliver for you, your families, and your communities. Folks, the Democratic Party right now is the brick wall that is standing strong, holding back the flames of chaos and keeping the hope in the Latino communities. We are going to fight for the dreams for so many. We're going to fight for the dreamers. And I want to thank you all. Thank you all for being here. And I wish you a wonderful Hispanic Heritage Month. Iris, thank you again. And thank you to all of those listening to us tonight.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you so much for your incredible leadership in the DNC. We are just so proud to have you there and excited about our work together for the next 4 years, trying to make sure that we take our president's message out there and really uplift our people. Thank you so much, Chairman.
Thank you.
Now moving over to the two powerhouses that we talked about. They have incredible resumes. Let me just say, I'm going to try to narrow it down because we want to hear more from them. But let me just say they have incredible. But let me start off with Nathalie Reyes. She is the president and CEO of Latino Victory, a progressive organization working to grow Latino political power by increasing Latino representation at every level of government and building a base of Latino donors to support this critical work. Formerly, Nathalie was vice president of the public affairs for Grupo Salinas in the US, a Mexican conglomerate with a US $6 billion in annual sales and over 90,000 employees in Mexico, the United States, and Central and South America, and within an operation in the broadcasting, retail, banking, financial services, telecommunications, and internet. In that role, Nathalie was in charge of the group Salinas philanthropy activities in the United States, which seek to improve the quality of life of Latinos by partnering them with existing non-for-profits to empower and create great awareness and motivate change on social and civic issues. I can go on, but I want to get to our half an hour segment that we have here to talk to both of them. And of course, our next guest also is, I don't think we have to talk or say much about him. We all know him, we loved him. Castro was our former Secretary of Housing. Castro was born in 1974 and grew up in San Antonio, Texas. He graduated from Stanford University with a BA in Political Science Communications, and in 1996, and received his JD from Harvard Law School in 2000. Castro was elected to San Antonio City Council in 2001, and is the age of 26. He was the youngest council member in this history. I know we know your history, and we just admire and just look at the wonderful qualities many of our young Latinos like yourself have brought to the forefront, and I look forward to seeing great things from you in the future. So in starting, we're going to start off with questions, and I want to just start with a question first to Nathalie. Nathalie, last year, Latinos turned out in record numbers, giving us huge wins in Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia. However, almost across the board, we saw margin shift towards Republicans. We understand the complexity of our communities, and Democrats are committed to organizing Latino voters. What investment can we make to build on our margins from 2020?
Well, first, let me thank you. It is always an honor to be with you, with the DNC, and obviously to share the stage with the great Julian Castro. And thanks to Chairman as well for the invitation to celebrate Latino Heritage Month in such a wonderful way. Today at Latino Victory, we kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month by endorsing the great Catherine Cortez Masto for her reelection. And so we got to double down for her in Nevada, make sure that she takes that seat and wins big and with big margins there in Nevada. So anyway, I'm just so excited to be with all of you. So to your question, we must understand that Latinos are persuasion voters that need to be engaged and convinced. Latinos need a reason to vote. They want to hear from candidates' plans to improve their communities and their quality of lives. Latinos want to know how their candidates will help boost job creations, improve the economy, expand healthcare access, and create educational opportunities for their kids and generations to come. We need to increase efforts to communicate democratic victories. And I think you shared this, Iris, in the beginning of your intro. We need to communicate democratic victories on these key issues and meet Latino voters where they are, especially as we continue to grappling with COVID-19 pandemic. Democrats must develop strategies to ensure they reach Latino voters. Democrats can make even more gains, and we are going to make more gains with Latino voters if they create long-term voter engagement strategies that include early investment, continuous early investment coupled with culturally competent messaging and outreach. It is also critical that all Latino voter outreach is done with a top of mind that Latinos are not a monolith. And the chairman mentioned this. We're not a monolithic voting bloc, which means that Democrats must tailor messaging and any communications to reflect priority issues in language, regional, and cultural nuances specific to each and every community. Cubans and Venezuelans in Florida require a different approach, as we all know, than Mexicans in Texas and Dominicanos and Puerto Ricans in New York. The same is true in urban Latino voters and rural Latino voters with difference in priorities, values, and socioeconomic status. Democrats also need to build an infrastructure of Spanish language spokespeople who can bring awareness about democratic policies and messaging, especially in places like Florida and Texas, and create an echo chamber in the language spoken by more than 30 million Latinos. So just a few ideas of how we can win even bigger and with greater margins come 2022 and 2024 and beyond.
I couldn't agree with you more when you saw the outcome of this election, where Trump was our reason to come out to vote. You're absolutely right, because here, even in my own hometown, we have to convince our voters the reason why we need to make sure that they vote for that individual. We have to get them excited about and really, really educate them about the campaign, the individual, but they will come out to vote. They want a reason. And let me tell you, when you look at this past election, there was a big reason for many to come out to vote. When you look at the numbers across the nation, for the first time we see those numbers, it tells you that if there is an issue that affects home, people will come out to vote. And I think that that's what we saw. So thank you so much for that. Let me go over to Julian. Julian, President Biden and Democrats recently passed the Americans Rescue Plan, and many working Latino families across the country receive child tax credit payments to help pay for essential monthly costs. President Biden Build Back Better agenda is aimed to transform the lives of working families and to help pave a path forward to recovery after this pandemic. Can you talk to folks at home about how President Biden Build Back a Better agenda will continue to deliver for the Latino families?
Yes, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Chairwoman Martinez, it's good to be with you. Thank you for your leadership, and also, of course, Chairman Harrison. And it's always a pleasure to join Nathalie to talk about such an important issue, especially as we mark the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. When I think about the Latina community, I think about all of the enormous contributions that the community has made over the generations to the forward progress of our country in every single way that we can imagine. And I think about the fact that today we're a community that is young, that is striving, that is ambitious, that is entrepreneurial, that is, has this ethos of duty to country and love of family, and also a community that has been harder hit than most during these last 18 months by the pandemic, in terms of jobs, in terms of housing, in terms of effects on their health. And so the Build Back Better agenda that President Biden is pursuing is exactly what Latinos and Latinas across this country need to get healthier, to make sure that they are able to get good employment, or because many are entrepreneurial and they own small businesses, that their business is able to get back on track, that they're able to stay in their home or find a home to be in. You talked about, for instance, child tax credits. That's already drastically reduced poverty in the Latino community. Nathalie mentioned investments in education, the kinds of investments that are being made in school districts across this country is having a real impact on educational opportunity, and also in higher education, the student loan debt relief that the president has already pursued and has talked about pursuing in the future. The infrastructure investments that President Biden is putting his full weight behind and looks like it has a good chance of getting passed are going to put people to work. And it's important because, what we see out there is a younger generation of Latinos that are getting more college opportunities and opportunities to go to universities and to graduate school. But there are also a lot in our community. They might have a high school diploma and they have a certificate. They're hardworking, but they, are looking for work right now. And this Build Back Better agenda is all about those kinds of jobs that are going to be accessible to so many people, whether they have a college degree or they don't have a college degree. And a lot of Latinas and Latinos that are going to be able to avail themselves of job opportunities because of this. Finally, let me just say, from my old stomping grounds at the Department of Housing and Opportunity, housing is the affordable housing crisis that we have in a lot of the country has intimately impacted the Latino community. A lot of Latinas and Latinos live in big urban environments where the cost of the rental market has skyrocketed. This budget package that the president is pursuing along with congressional Democrats would make the largest investment in housing that is affordable to the middle class and to lower income Americans. That's a lot of Latinos that we've made in generations. That would provide opportunity for a safe, decent place to live that provides stability in people's lives and makes it more likely that a child is going to do better in the classroom because they have a stable place to live, that somebody's going to be able to stay at their job or get a job in the first place, that their health is better. So all of these things are part of President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. All of them are having a great impact on the Latino community, and they're worth fighting for.
Thank you. And when you're talking about the housing crisis, when now with the eviction moratorium being lifted in many of the states, here in my state, we are preparing ourselves for a real. It's going to really affect our communities in such a negative way, and it worries me. And I'm glad to hear, that we have plans to continue to help, especially in the housing crisis that we already had going into pandemic and now post-pandemic, the eviction that are on the docket in all the courthouses right now. And I see it because as a clerk, we're hearing how this is going to be, and it worries me about the impact, the emotional impact that it's going to have, especially still in this COVID situation that we still find ourselves, that we're far from over, and now on top of that, these evictions that are going to start taking place. And it really worries me about, about where we're going to be at once this ban is lifted. And it's a very scary times for, for people across the nation, but more to the Latino families that right now, that our families, we take families in. We have homeless families that are living with each other, and people don't realize that those are homeless individuals that are, thank God they have family that are housing them.
Right.
But it's still a situation that we have to address. And thank you so much for your comments. And we're gonna keep talking. And please feel free to to continue to the conversation, because I'm really concerned about what's going on right now in the housing area. So I'm gonna pitch a question to both of you, and then we can continue until we have to say goodbye. But I love this conversation, the energy, it's important. I hope that everyone out there is also enjoying this little chat that we're having. I think it's important that, that we have leading our Hispanic Heritage Month with two incredible powerhouses that we have here to talk about how their perspective on what's going on in the Latino community. So the question to both: Hispanic Heritage Month is an opportunity to acknowledge the invaluable contribution made by Latinos throughout our nation's history and celebrate the rich heritage, culture, and diversity that exists within our Latino community. Who is someone you want to highlight and uplift this month? I think we always have that one Latino or Latina that made an impact on our lives, and let's have that chat. Let's start with Nathalie.
All right. Well, I can't pick one person. On this Hispanic Heritage Month, I want to uplift Latino voters and Latino candidates. Despite the Latino community's challenges this year as it grappled with COVID pandemic, Latinos still turned out to vote in record numbers. And that makes me just so proud. And our candidates were superb at every level, at the state, at the local, at the federal level. Julian Castro was our candidate as well, running for president. It was such an honor. And we're so proud of that. And in the 2020 elections, there was 30% Latino voter turnout surge, 30%. More Latinos came out in 2020. Latinos were crucial for ensuring that President Biden won, that we have a President Biden and that we have a Vice President Kamala Harris. Thanks to Latino voters' participation, we now have an administration that treats Latinos with respect, with dignity, with kindness, with compassion, includes Latinos at the seat of the highest powerful table, the pay table in that White House, where we are making and helping shape our country's policies to help protect all Latinos across the country and the globe, in the hemisphere. And is working to implement policies to help Latinos prosper at home, prosper abroad, prosper. And at the same time, acknowledging the Latino voters' value to our democracy, to our way of life. We must also keep hammering the notion that Democrats must court the Latino vote early and consistently in every election cycle, always. And that means that investing resources necessary, conducting culturally competent outreach and messaging to our community, and supporting our amazing Latino candidates that work their butts off and represent us so well at every level. So, chapeau bas, as they say in French. I take my hat off to, le quito el sombrero a todos los votantes que salieron a votar en estas elecciones. Y tenemos que salir a votar en 2022. Todos que votaron en 2020 tienen que salir en 22 y 24 y tráete 5 personas contigo. Así, porque estas elecciones son tan cruciales en 2022. Así que con eso, gracias por el voto, por la confianza, por asegurar que los demócratas sí van a ganar y van a ganar con el voto latino. Así que gracias por la pregunta y otra vez gracias por el votante.
You know what? You're so right. I always say it over and over. We come out to vote when there is a real reason that affects us, and we saw this. And it's great to see that the Latino vote was crucial and really were key in these races in these states where our population is growing and is going to keep growing. And like you said, we have to continue to bring them to the polling places. We got to continue to have them bring their families, their friends, 5, 10, 15 people. We have to continue to really continue to just, educate them and let them know that their vote is so valuable to what we need to do to make sure that we push now even more the president's agenda. We finally have a White House that belongs to us, and we need to make sure that we work to keep that White House in our Democratic side for a long time. I gotta tell you. So, Julian, how about you? How do you feel about it? Who's your? Do you have a special person that made that happen for you? That gave you that, but that really really signifies what it is to be a Latino or Latina.
Well, of course. I mean, in my life, like for so many folks, it was my mom. Over my shoulder is a poster from when she ran for city council when she was 23 years old. She was a hellraiser, my mom, a Chicana activist, young Democrat, very, very active in the community back then. And, she passed on to Joaquin and to me this sense that you should do something for more than just yourself, and that participating in our democracy was something you had a responsibility to do. She came from the outside. She didn't win that election. Back then, very few people of color, very few women actually won city council elections in San Antonio or anywhere else. But she was part of the struggle. And so I think about her all the time, and I am grateful. But I also think about all of the people in different industries that made so many sacrifices along the way. And especially these days, I think about our essential workers, our farm workers, people working in the healthcare sector, in meatpacking plants, all of those people who have sacrificed, who have put their own health at risk, sometimes their lives at risk, so that we can lead more prosperous lives ourselves. There are a lot of Latinas and Latinos among them, and we honor them. And of course, we always honor the people in our own lives. For me, my mother, and others who have sacrificed so that we can be where we are in life.
I gotta say my mother too, because I'm sure my mom is watching. She's like, you see, Julian is such a good son, and you didn't even mention me. So my mom too.
Yes. It's a good save, Nathalie.
I know that my mom is watching me from above. She was not there to see how far I have come, and being a real voice for the people. But let me say, I know I feel her every day. And I know that she's with me, and she was the one that set those values in me, and not stopping. As a woman, as a Latina woman, just stand your ground and fight the fight. And my mom, I know, is up in heaven watching over me. So she used to say to me, "You're the most controversial child," and I'm trying to wonder why she would say that, but that's okay. Because everybody else in the health field, and I turned to politics. So I think she knew I was a little special.
Well, and this morning I put out a video, and one of the things I said was that this Hispanic Heritage Month, as much as we honor our past and the contributions of the past, we also think about and reflect on how we can work to make those success stories so much more common in our Latino community in the future. And that's where I think it intersects with what we're talking about tonight, and all of the investments that the Biden administration and Democrats are making, the results that they're delivering, the fact that more young people are going to cross that graduation stage and go and get their college degree and reach their career dreams because of these investments, that more people are going to be able to own a home, that more people are going to have the job that they need to provide for their family, that more small businesses are going to reopen and that they're going to prosper, and that our families are going to live longer, literally, because of the healthcare investments that we're making, and that so many people in our community, because of the courage of our activists and people in Congress and President Biden, hopefully are going to have new immigration laws that provide peace of mind and a pathway to citizenship. We connect the honor that we give to all who came before us with the work that Democrats are doing right now to make sure that those sacrifices that they made were not in vain, and that their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren get to go so much further even than they did because of it.
Absolutely, Julian, you hit it right on. That's the investments. We have to make the investments in our young. And today we're seeing more Latinos and Latinas actually getting those degrees and going to those top Ivy League schools right now, because of the fact that we have to continue to push them. And I look at your story and your mom raising a single mom, raising you, both of you, and both of you. She's done an incredible job in both of you, and what you have given back to the community in all the work that you have done. And we're very proud of the Castro family, and we know we're going to see the Castro families around for a very long time. I know that, maybe even past my time, but it's okay.
Yes,
Nathalie,
very young, Iris. There's still so much. There's so much.
Ay, mija.
Tienes como 30, 40 años todavía. So he's, Julian and Joaquin are stars of the party, and
That's right.
And they're going to help save our democracy in Texas too.
Nathalie, any final thoughts? Anything that you want us to for you to leave with the audience about? I know we talked about the Latino vote. We talked about how important it is, but give us a final thought. Especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, on what we need to continue to do moving forward.
Well, we need to celebrate our heritage every day and all the time, and be proud of who we are as Latinos. Our beautiful language, our beautiful culture, our beautiful people, music. I mean, there's so much, and this is our country, and we make this country, and we've built this country, and it makes me so proud actually that we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House.
Yes,
and seeing an administration that reflects all of us. We have 4 cabinet members at the highest levels, from Javier Becerra to Secretary Mayorkas to Miguel Cardona to Isabela Guzman, making decisions, being at the table, at the center of power. And so there's so much to be thankful for, but the fight continues, and the fight is real. And every vote does indeed count. And so I encourage folks to get civically active and involved. We all have a voice. We all have power and strength. We all have social media, so we can always, pitch in with the conversations and help our candidates in different ways. So, my message is, let's continue fighting for what's worth fighting, our families and our democracy, and ensuring that we do that with the Latino votes, with Latino candidates, and con la fuerza de los Latinos, que siempre la tenemos. And let's celebrate every day as it's Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you. Julian, how about you? What is the message that you want to leave this audience with, and more in of course, celebrating a Hispanic Heritage Month, but again, emphasizing how important it is for us to continue to work and continue to believe in the message that our president has out there, because we will benefit from this, from all the work that he is putting out there for us. So give us some final thoughts on that.
Well, thank you again, Chairwoman Martinez, and to Nathalie for your leadership and hard work in creating opportunities for our voices to be heard at the ballot box. When the census came out, the 2020 census a couple of weeks ago, it showed that already more than a quarter of the children in our country are Latino or Latina. And so the destiny of our country is intertwined with the destiny of the Latino community like never before. And President Biden and Vice President Harris understand it. They're making investments in jobs, in education, in housing, in healthcare, and immigration, so that our Latino community can prosper. And when the community prospers, America prospers. All of us have to do our part by making our voices heard at the ballot box. If we do that, then all of us can have a brighter future.
Thank you so much. Amen to that. Nathalie, continue to raise that money and get the Latinos elected. We are counting on you. Julian, thank you for always being such, you motivate us. And again, thank you so much for everything you have done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating. It's a short program, but I know it was a very powerful program. Thank you to my 2 panelists who I have given us great insight on things that we need to continue to move forward with. And thanks to our chairman, Chairman Harrison, who is phenomenal and is doing great work, and for Democrats out there and taking the message. And to our president and Kamala Harris, thank you for giving us hope again, for lifting us, when we were so down. I want to just say to the families out there, continue to be safe, If you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. Continue to take care of your family. Continue to be involved in your community. You can't be complacent if you're not participating. And for me, that is very important. We're the only ones that can make the change, but we have to participate. And the most important participation that we can do to our communities is get out and vote. That is the most important. So good night, everyone. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Enjoy this month and many months to go. We will see each other soon, and God bless all. Gracias. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Thank you.
Thank you.